I don't know. Is Mike with us yet? Because
he bailed on us 20 minutes ago.
What a train wreck!
It's nice to see you guys have gotten your shit together after all these years.
Did you watch that train wreck?
Yes. What the hell is wrong with you guys?
It's unbelievable. And believe it or not, we planned this out and we talk about it.
Well, can I play? I want to do a six pack. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what is it going to be? Well, wait. Tell us what your category is.
Well, I'll do yours and Don's category, which is top 6 side projects in general, not of mine.
All right, please do.
I guess I'm going backwards order. My number 1, and I can't believe none of you guys mentioned it. SOD, Stormtroopers of Death.
I wasn't into SOD.
That was the original side project. That
That's
was like
right.
the first one.
Yeah.
Back in '85, I saw them. Opening for Motorhead and Wendy O. Williams and the Cro-Mags at the Ritz back in '85, Christmas of '85. But yeah, I mean, I think I might even like SOD even more than a lot of the Anthrax albums. I'm just a huge fan of those guys.
That's why SOD had to go away.
Right.
Trust me, I was working for those guys at the time at Megaforce, and that SOD record, which was more of a hardcore thing, got so popular it became a little bit of a threat to Anthrax, so they kind of put it to bed.
Well, Mike, that would have been my number 1 if I knew how to play the game right.
And Mike's not even playing the game right, because who starts at number 1? That's like coming before you have sex. You got to build up to it.
Who doesn't do that?
Holy shit!
What else I got? As I think Don mentioned, Mr. Bungle. I mean, I love Mr. Bungle. I mean, it's hard to say what's a side project and what's a real band. After a while, I mean, Mr. Bungle. You guys are still dying.
Because I'm thinking of Jim knocking one out before he.
Get that one out of the way.
Preemptive strike.
Yeah. What is it? It's
go
like
out with a loaded gun.
There's something about Mary, right? You don't want to go in with a loaded gun.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead. Thanks for coming on, Mike.
All right.
The angelic Mike Portnoy.
So Mr. Bungle, my number 2 is Mr. Bungle, which actually, they existed before Faith No More. So I mean, which is the real band and which is the side project? Who knows? But then same with Stone Sour. Stone Sour existed before Corey was in Slipknot, so Stone Sour would be on my list. Who I actually played with. I did a gig with them, so I guess that could kind of fit into Jim's game.
Yeah.
And then I have Down, Phil Anselmo's Down, which for a while Rex was in the band with him as well. And I love those albums.
Yeah, Pepper from COC.
Then this is more of a metal, hard rock, hip hop crossover, but the Prophets of Rage project, which was Audio Slave with Chuck D and Be Real fronting them.
Yep.
My number 6, I'll put one of my own on there because this is a side project for so many people. It's Metal Allegiance, and that's my metal outlet, my thrash metal outlet, and it's obviously a side project for Alex Skolnick, David Ellefson, Mark Asagata, Bobby Blitz, Gary Holt, Andreas Kisser. I mean, pretty much everybody has worked with us in the Metal Allegiance through the years. So that's kind of a fun thrash metal side project for all of us.
Are you still doing that? You haven't done that in a long time.
No, we have. We do a few per year. We just played at Rock in Rio last September. I mean, that was huge, enormous gig for us. And we usually play in Anaheim around the NAMM show. We haven't done that the last couple of years because of COVID, but we are scheduled to do it again this coming January. So yeah.
That was called Hail, right? Originally?
No, that was a different thing. Hail was something that I did with David Ellefson, Andreas, and Ripper.
Yeah.
But that was before Metal Allegiance. Metal Allegiance kind of was the same idea, which was just doing covers. But then, of course, we've now done 2 albums of original material. So now, if you see Metal Allegiance now, it's kind of like half and half. Half original, half covers.
So Mike was totally unprepared and had no clue we were doing this and came up with a much better cohesive list than the 3 of us who planned this out, of course. So you guys
need to know. You didn't mention Velvet Revolver. You didn't.
There's tons.
You didn't mention Infectious Grooves. You didn't mention Temple of the Dog. I mean, there are tons.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
But Eddie had to make one up.
Morning Widows is not made up. Mike, you know
Mike,
Morning Widows, right?
Morning Windows?
No, I know Widowmaker. I don't know Morning.
Jesus. I'm gonna.
See, I don't know it
either.
Widowmaker.
Everyone watching knows Morning Widows, so the hell with all you.
And then you had a picture of Adrenaline Mob with the original lineup with Rich Ward in there, which was pretty short-lived. But then there was another one when Jim was doing his list. There was a picture of supposed to have been Adrenaline Mob, but I don't know who the fuck it was.
And there was a band with Mike Orlando wearing eyeliner. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, and then you had Dream Theater, but without
you.
Yeah, this whole segment went completely off the rails. I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing.
Exactly. We don't either.
It works better that way.
Yeah. So Mike, for you, what is your primary band at this point in your life? Is it Winery Dogs? Is it the Mike Morse Band? What is it?
The
Mike Morse.
Neal Morse.
That's a friend of ours, Mike Morse.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Or is it Morning Wood? Which band?
It's Adrenaline Circus.
Or no, Flying Circus.
Yeah,
Flying Circus.
Sons of Apollo was up there at some point. Nobody even mentioned the name. That was Sons of Apollo, one of the photos.
But what was Flying Circus?
No, you're thinking of Flying Colors, which is
I know, but he had a cover that said "Fly." Put the cover up if you can, Joe. I don't know what that is.
That was, I guess, the band Flying Circus. I don't know, but my band was Steve Morse and Neal Morse is Flying Colors, and we've done 3 albums. So, at what point is something no longer a side project and a real band? When I've done 3 albums with Liquid Tension Experiment, 3 with the Winery Dogs, 3 with Flying Colors. So at some point, I don't know. There's a fine line between side project and real band.
Hey, Mike, I brought this up to you before, and I don't know. That has nothing to do with Mike. Although, Mike, that does look like a band you would be in.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, maybe.
Can we Photoshop Mike in there? Mike might join that band now. He might have a new band. Flying Circus. If you need a drummer, we know a guy. He'd fit right in. But Mike, we were talking about, I've said this to you a lot in the past. So when you left Dream Theater because you wanted to play in a bunch of different bands and do all this diverse different music, we all know you caught a lot of hell for it initially. And at that time, I was saying this on my radio show, like back when we were kids, if a member of a band went and did something else in a side band, it was looked at as like, oh my God, the sky's falling. It was like a huge thing. And it was a sign of a red flag and all that. Now it's the norm. And you caught some shit about it initially. And now everyone does it. Like I can't think of anybody that doesn't at least have one other band on the side. Totally. Do you feel a little like vindicated because you kind of kicked the door open in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, I still get shit over it. People like, oh, what band are you in this week? Or the misunderstanding or the thing that I always bothered me is when people thought I would form a band and then leave it and then move on to something else. I was doing all these at the same time. So it wasn't like I ever, left this band for that band. And it was like, bring it on. I'll do it all. I think at the moment there's like 10 different bands I'm part of. And they're just, some are more active than others. Some are kind of taking a break. Some aren't. So, but yeah, I mean, I do feel vindicated in a way. It's like, and like you said, I can't name almost anybody that only has one band these days. It's the norm now.
Yeah, totally. The side project I want to see is which you could put together very easily is the Portnoy family band. Yeah. Because your whole family's musical. I can't believe you have not done a Portnoy family album.
I tried. As soon as COVID hit and we were all in lockdown, everybody started doing these like collaboration videos. And one of the first ones I wanted to do was one with my whole family. I wanted to do the Ramones song, We're a Happy Family. And I couldn't convince the rest of the gang to do it. So I ended up doing a version of it with me playing every instrument, and the family was in the video with me. But yeah, it would have been a natural because Marlene plays guitar and recently started playing again with her old thrash band Mean Streak.
Yep.
They just did a whole tour with us with John Petrucci. And Max plays. He has his own band Tala, but he also plays drums for Code Orange now. So he's killing it out there. And then my daughter Melody is a singer. She does a lot of acting and theater and singing stuff. So yeah, it is definitely a musical family.
And Code Orange is a big band.
Yeah, Max is killing it with them. They have a new album coming out in September. It's their first album with him on drums, and he's been touring with them ever since, I guess, 2021, ever since, post-COVID touring began. So, yeah, he's killing it with them. He moved out to Pittsburgh to be with them full-time now.
Mike, you didn't teach your son to play drums, really, right? I remember it was at your house once, and he told me he had a drum teacher for a little while, but how much of what he knows and how good he is came from the teacher just picking it up on his own, watching you? And I'm sure you helped at some points, right?
I mean, I'm sure he, being brought up in the lifestyle that I have surely influenced him. I mean, he was literally touring with me on the road with Dream Theater, when he was 2 years old, and sitting behind the drums, eating, candy, watching the show with my, so he grew up around that. So I'm sure that had some kind of influence on him wanting to be a drummer himself. But no, like you said, he was taking real lessons. And I think that was important because I'm not a teacher. It doesn't matter how much I've played or how many awards I've won or whatever. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a drummer. So I can't really teach somebody the fundamentals and think in those terms. But the other thing is that I tour so much and I'm away so much. He needed somebody that he could consistently go to. So he was taking lessons for a few years from a local guy. And I think, that's a big part of what got him really musical, able to read music and, do a lot of the things he's able to do.
I was at a 4th of July party at Mike's house a number of years ago. And Max was a kid then still before he was in any band, but I was talking to him and I remember saying to him, I'm like, so did your dad teach you? And he goes, no, I have a drum teacher. And I looked at him and I go, does he know who your dad is? Like, I would imagine like the drum teacher would be like, I can't, go there, but he's, it's amazing what he's turned into, man. It's really cool.
Mike, did you ever go to one of his drum lessons and you were there sitting there? That must have intimidated that guy.
Yeah. I used to, well, obviously Max was just a kid, so he would need to be driven to his lessons. So either me or Marlene were driving him every week, and we'd have to sit there, and he'd have to come out and see me sitting there. But his teacher was great, man. I got to give him all the credit in the world. He was a freaking awesome teacher.
Mike could get the most talented musicians of all time to play with him: Billy Sheehan, Richie Kotzen, Neal Morse. But he can't get members of his own family to be in the band with him. Should have just said, I'll take away your iPhones, kids, if you don't join the band.
Well, Don.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, Don, maybe he can get Mike Morse in his band. He can't get he got me all.
Well, if you look up Mike Portnoy, We're a Happy Family, you can see what I ended up doing. I ended up playing all the instruments myself, but it was fun.
Hey, Mike, you're wearing...
Oh, sorry. I was just... Same question. He's wearing a Pantera shirt. I was going to ask him, did you see him?
Did you see the new Pantera yet?
Yeah. I caught the show in Reading, Pennsylvania. It was freaking phenomenal. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I'm going to see him for the first time in about a week and a half at Rocklahoma. So they're headlining one of the days. So that'll be my first time seeing this.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie and Zach are absolutely killing it, really. I couldn't be happier for them. And I think all the naysayers that came in this skeptical at the beginning are now kind of eating their words and realizing how badass this is and how important it is, to keep that legacy alive. I know it was a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, but I think the reality is if Dimebag hadn't been killed, I think they surely would have reunited at some point by now. And I understand Vinny's once Dimebag was killed, I understand Vinny never wanting to do it without him. It's his brother, so I get that. But now that Vinny isn't with us either, it's Phil and Rex's band as well. And I think, wanting to carry on the legacy for a whole new generation is a great, great thing. They're an important band and important to metal, and why shouldn't they be out there doing it?
Yeah,
they're doing it so tastefully and with so much, honor and respect to Dime and Vinny. They're there each and every show right there on Charlie's bass drum heads. So I think they're doing it right.
They would have definitely gotten back together. I know they were working on a second Damage Plan record at the time, but they wanted to be back in. But also, you know, I was talking to one of Vinny's buddies recently, and he was saying, you know, Vinny would say, no way, I'm never playing with that guy again. And he goes, and he'd have a few more drinks. He'd be like, maybe, you know, for the fans. So he's like, he was going to eventually come around, Vinny, he thought too, if Vinny was still alive.
I mean, I understand for him how hard it would have been because it was his brother that wasn't there. So I understand his take on it. But I think it was inevitable, you know, and I'm really glad to see how well it's doing. And Charlie and Zach are just doing it with so much respect and integrity, which is awesome.
Well, they've said consistently it's not Pantera yet, even though it is in name. It can't be, but it's a celebration of the music, and I think that is the right tone to take with it. Why is Charlie wearing a 3 on the back of his shirt every night? Do you know what the significance of that is?
Dime's favorite number.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think even if you look at those old Pantera home videos, there's one of them, I think, well, the third one, Dimebag does a whole thing in the beginning, a big montage of everybody saying 3, 3, 3, 3. That was a big thing for him. But it was also a Peter Criss thing, if you remember.
I know Charlie's a huge Kiss fan, so I didn't know, but that wouldn't make sense to do it a Pantera thing. That's why I wasn't sure.
Right.
Hey, Mike, was your name ever thrown into the mix for that drum spot?
You'd have to ask those guys. I have no idea. I mean, obviously, I would have done it in a heartbeat if asked, but Charlie is absolutely the right guy for the gig, and he's doing a great job. And I don't think it was ever my gig to be had. It was always Charlie's, as far as I'm concerned. And I've had the pleasure and the honor of already playing some of those Pantera songs with Phil and Rex through the years with Metal Allegiance, as we were just talking about, because they've both done Metal Allegiance with us. And some of the first times that Phil had ever played any of those Pantera songs post Pantera were with us at Metal Allegiance. So I've already had the fun, honor of getting to jam those tunes with those guys. And that was enough for me. Charlie's doing it right, and I'm happy for him.
Hey, Mike, what's going on with you now? So I know the Winery Dogs, the campaign for this record has been amazing and taking you all over the world. The record, the tour, everything was well received. What's coming up next as far as your schedule? Which bands? Where you headed? What's coming down the pike?
We still have another pretty big leg coming up in Europe. But yeah, we've been out since February, and pretty much for all three of us, the focus has been the Winery Dogs. Billy just did a Mr. Big farewell tour in Asia, but for the most part, all three of us have just been all about the Winery Dogs, and we still have a European leg in October, November, and then we have 5 shows in Japan at the end of November. And there's talk of carrying into next year as well, because it's been so well received, and most of the shows have sold out, and we want to be able to do some festivals and try to hit the festival circuit a little bit more next year. So if those opportunities arise, we're gonna keep going into next year. So we'll see.
Mike, any Flying Circus dates?
Actually, there is. Yeah, Flying Colors will be playing on Cruise to the Edge in March. I don't know about Flying Circus, but Flying Colors will be on Cruise to the Edge.
This is the most press this band has ever gotten.
But I'm totally saying that looks like a band that should be on Cruise to the Edge, and that Mike should be in. It really does. It looks like the guy from Marillion is in there or something, like the whole thing. Oh, my God.
Mike, you like doing those cruises?
I do, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Over the last 10 years or so, I've probably done about a dozen between Cruise to the Edge, and I've done the Monsters of Rock one a bunch of times, and I even did my own one, Progressive Nation at Sea, back in 2014. So, it's become like kind of a common thing for most bands to do these days, and it's a great way to get out there and play to a lot of different people, play with a lot of bands, and get some rest and relaxation and vacation as well.
And watch all the other bands too.
Yeah, totally.
All the other bands of the ship, which is great. Yeah.
I've been on a few, I've done my radio show from a few of the Cruise to the Edges, and I use Mike as my wingman because he can educate me on some of that stuff, because I don't know it all too well. And it's good to explore it and learn about it. And then having Mike there is like the ambassador of it is is awesome. So that's cool. So Mike, it sounds like just Winery Dog stuff for you pretty much the rest of the way here.
Yeah, I mean, that's it for the rest of the year. I have a couple of weird one-off things. I'm actually playing drums for the Seattle Seahawks drum line on September 24th. So that'll be pretty interesting. And they have guest drummers, I guess, occasionally. Charlie's done it, and Chad Smith has done it, and John Tempesta. So they invited me out, so I'll be doing that in Seattle. And then at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp in, I think, November. I'm doing that with Zach Wilde and Marty Friedman. And then another cool one-off thing. I don't know how much you've talked about it, Eddie, but I have a little shindig with you.
Yeah, no, nothing.
Nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nothing.
Zip.
What about the Mike Morse Band?
The Mike Morse Band. I actually just got home from playing with the Mike Morse Band. We did this thing called Morse Fest every year, and I just played with Mike this past weekend. So just kind of one-off stuff for the moment, and that's it for now.
Yeah, that thing Mike talked about we'll announce after Labor Day, but
I just hope Flying Circus is going to be on that thing whenever it gets announced.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, one last thing before we let you go. We can't have you on and not talk about Dream Theater. I think it's really
we could. Andy.
Yeah,
no.
Dream Theater.
No, because I think it's really shut up, Don. I think it's really cool and really important for the fans where you're at with them now. The fact that you guys are all cool. People that don't know, you went out and played with John Petrucci. You were on his record. You toured with him. You did stuff with Jordan. You went to go see Dream Theater play. I think that's really cool. It's got to feel good. And I think some sort of closure maybe for the fans after all those years to be able to say where things are at with those guys now with you.
Yeah, that's true. I'm busting your chops, but it really does feel good to be at such a good place with them. In fact, I just saw John Petrucci and John Mayung just came to Marlene's surprise birthday party just a few nights ago. So, I was with those two guys just a few nights ago, and yeah, it does feel good. It feels like, they're family. We're coming up on the 40th anniversary of the three of us forming the band. So after 40, almost 40 years, you can't not have that connection. Our wives play together in Mean Streak, and they've reunited after all this time. And my daughter and John Petrucci's daughter have lived together in an apartment for the last 4 years in Brooklyn. So they're roommates. There's just such a family connection between me and those guys that's never going to go away, whether or not I'm in the band. But now to be even playing music together, John and Jordan and myself did a third Liquid Tension album, which was a big deal for us, and doing John's tour, being on stage together after all these years, it's been really nice. It's just there is a certain sense of closure. The fans are going to still inevitably always be wanting a reunion or talking about it, whether or not it's hypothetical at this point. But inevitably, that's a question or a discussion that will never go away. It's inevitable as when you like a band like that you're going to talk about it. So I get it. But for me, I have a tremendous amount of closure just to be on such a great level with those guys personally and to make music in the capacity that we do now.
Mike, I'm sorry my co-host made you uncomfortable with that question.
We had Petrucci, and at least there's one professional here that knows the question to ask. We had Petrucci and Jordan on earlier, and half the time we talked about John's beard and the beard products he's now selling. Right. So he's got a serious beard game going on.
Yeah, he gave me tips on mine, so it was good.
Yeah.
Jim said he's only growing his
Jim,
to cover. Jim said he only grew his to cover his double chin, which means I better start growing real quick.
Oh yeah, big time. That's a big aspect.
Now we're all in.
Look.
And we're all in. We're the one guy on the far right, though.
And the real Mike Morse is in there.
Oh, that's right. That's
he
that
was?
guy?
Oh, yeah, that's Mike Morse all the way far right. Yeah, look.
It's the new supergroup.
That's funny.
Hey, we should play. We should finish out the show with Mike because we got to do this versus that. And do you want to do the death metal logo? Mike can maybe help with that.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Mike, So just so you know, we got a couple features that we do in this show. Every week, Don gives me a death metal logo that I have to try to read what it says. And then we end with basically this versus that, which we pick two things which we need to close out with. But let's do the death metal logo now. Maybe Mike can.
Is it going to be a pile of twigs?
It always is, but sometimes they're.
I'm gonna flying circus. No,
that's insane, Don.
That's really a real logo.
It's great too. But people really are digging this segment because now fans are sending these to me all the time. Wow. So this is from a fan, Jackie Ray, who sent this. It is a real band, and it's a made up word. But the first part of the word is a word you would associate with death metal, if that helps.
It almost looks like an S. Is it an S starting it?
No.
It's not an S?
Yeah, I thought it was an S and a Y at the end, but...
it is a Y at the end, Mike.
Is there a C in the middle? A C and an R?
What does that show? Wheel of Fortune. Can I get a C?
Yeah.
It almost looks like an outtake to the Metallica Load cover.
Yeah.
With the blood and the semen.
That's not an S, Don?
It is not, but there is a Y and there is an R.
Is it a P?
The first letter a C?
There's no C.
Wow.
That's the hardest one you've hit me with yet, Don.
Yeah.
One of the comments says Satan's ball sack. That's my guess.
But it's not an S. I thought it was an S too, and I was going to go Satan, but it's not an S. He said
it is not. It's a band called Goratory.
So that's a G.
That's a G at the beginning. Goratory, and they have a lot of big hits. Total Eclipse of the Fart. Pig Pepper. Golden Shower Gladiators, Cream of Fetus, and Cottage Cheese C-Word are some of their bigger hits. I'm surprised you haven't heard of them.
Do you have that on vinyl, Don?
No, but if I find it, I'll buy it.
Please, get two. I'd love one as well.
My favorite unused metal band name is Rumpled Foreskin.
You just gave it away now on YouTube. Forget it. There's going to be 3 bands tomorrow.
Yeah.
Genital Giant.
That's a good one.
Genital band.
All right. So, Don, you said that you wanted to do this debate with Mike for this versus that, right?
Well, we got a drummer on who I like, who loves the band Iron Maiden, like we all do. And so I figured let's put a couple Iron Maiden drummers up against each other. It's tougher when they're beloved, but you got to pick one, Mike. Right. Are you more of a Clive Burr fan or are you more of a Nico McBrain fan? And you will go last, Mike, and you'll set everybody straight. And we'll start at the top with Eddie, and we'll get his pick.
I love what Clive did. I think Clive was very unique in his sound with Iron Maiden. I saw Maiden with Clive because I saw the Killers tour and the Number of the Beast tour. But unfortunately, the body of work for Clive is much smaller. It's only 3 records. Sadly, Clive passed away, so he really didn't do too much after Maiden. He did a couple things, but not a lot. I think at this point,
you guys mentioned Widowmaker.
Widowmaker, yeah. I just feel like Nico is the guy when you talk about Iron Maiden drummers, and from Peace of Mind on, he's been there. He's been through everything. He recently revealed he had a stroke, and he's still back there playing. And just listening to the beginning of Where Eagles Dare, which was the first song on the first record he was on, that just laid the gauntlet down. And although I love what Clive did because it was kind of different, I think Nico is the guy.
All right, Jim.
What did Clive die of again? I forget.
MS.
MS.
Oh, okay. I saw Clive probably 3 times too. I think all 3 of us were at the same Maiden pre-show at Asbury Park Convention Hall.
Yep.
Back in the day, but Nico, Where Eagles Dare is my favorite Maiden song. To open that record with him on there, that drumming on there. I mean, look, Mike's gonna know because he knows drums, but I'm gonna go with Nico too.
Jim, you suck. That's all I'm saying right now, and nobody knows why I'm saying that, but you and Don. But you suck.
Yeah,
You're killing me.
Oh boy, this is a great way. We do need a break after this show.
Oh, it's a callback to something from our old show, but I'm not going to go there. Go ahead, Don.
Yes, Eddie. Yes. Nico benefits from having a bigger body of work, of course, and we love Nico, but he's a very different drummer than Clive. I just maybe it's your first love, you never get over it. To me, Clive's drumming is very unique. I love how he uses his snare drum to do fills, as opposed to doing the big drum rolls and all that stuff, which he also did. But he was real creative with his snare drum. Lars Ulrich even says the same thing. That's why Lars is very creative with his snare drum. That comes from Clive Burr. He was the original guy in the band. I'm going Clive, and he's got the best hair. So I'm going with Clive Burr.
Real quick, and I don't remember this. Did Clive play single bass or double bass drums?
Single. They both single bass drummers.
Oh, Nico doesn't play double bass?
No. He doesn't even use the double pedal.
I did not know that. Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, you're in the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame, so you set the record straight.
Well, look, they're both amazing. They're both legendary. I'm partial to the first 3 albums. I love actually the first 4 or 5 albums because I love Peace of Mind and Power Slave as well. But the first 3 are just so incredible, and the drumming on all 3 albums is legendary. I mean, Clive had so many great legendary drum intros: "The Prisoner," "Run to the Hills." What is Another Life? Was that Another Life? I can't remember. But so there's so many legendary drum parts. But I got to give it to Nico. Nico, he's been there for 40 years.
I thought you were going Clive the way you're setting that up.
I'm going to give Clive his respect and due, and but you got to give it to Nico. Nico's been there for 40 years. He's basically, he's the drummer of Iron Maiden. He's the face of that band when you look at the drum kit, and not to mention the fact that he's a very, very good friend of mine. So I could never not pick him, or else I'll never hear the end of it. But he's a good friend to all of ours, I'm sure.
Plus, we wouldn't get free ribs at Rock and Roll Ribs if we didn't pick him in Florida.
I guess I won't be, but I'm a vegetarian, so.
Hey, Mike, how difficult you think it was when he said that the last tour he was only 70% back from his stroke to play like a 2-hour show?
Yeah. Amazing. Any bands that are in that age bracket, I don't know if he's hit 70 yet, but most of the metal bands, most metal artists are now upper 60s, getting into their 70s. It's one thing for the Stones to go out there and play, Start Me Up or Paint It Black at 80 years old. But once you start getting into, playing Where Eagles Dare, or Steve Harris being able to play, Murders in the Rue Morgue, or, Phantom of the Opera, metal musicians up in that age bracket, it's going to start to take its toll. And, I didn't see any footage from of him post-stroke, but I did play with those guys in Rock in Rio last year, and he sounded as great as ever. He's just always been rock solid for all these years, all these decades.
He got sober a few years ago, which he said really helped him. And I remember him telling me on my radio show, he said that, and this was a while ago, that he's the oldest member of the band, and obviously drumming is so physical. And he said that he told Steve Harris, look, if I'm lagging or I'm messing you guys up or I'm not bringing it, I'm not cutting it, please, he said, don't leave me out here to die. He goes, put me out to pasture. It's all good. I'm cool with it. And he said Steve hasn't put him out to pasture yet, so he's going to just keep hanging in there. But yeah, it's pretty remarkable what he's doing still at his age. And he looks great. And he got, like I said, ever since he got sober, I think like 5-6 years ago, he said that's really helped his stamina and how he feels a whole lot more too. So definitely still chugging along.
He had that great story about how his wife was getting on his case because he was drinking on the road. So like the first night of the tour, he had this huge glass with beer, like huge, super tall. And he's walking around with like, what are you doing with that? He goes, my wife said I can have 1 beer. So he put it in like a 64-ounce. Jenny's just walking around. Like, I can have 1 beer.
That's the other thing about him. He's a total character and the most fun guy to talk to. Definitely and I mean this, I love all the Maiden guys, but he's definitely the most personable, big personality guy in that band. He's the guy they send out into the after party to entertain everybody when they just want to get on the bus or the plane and get out of there. So he's great in that role as well. Mike, we got to wrap it. Anything you want to plug or mention before we go?
No, that's it. Just a little more Winery Dogs on the horizon, and a bunch of one-off stuff, and that's about it. I'm mainly here to just bust your chops. I don't want to talk about myself. I want to talk about whatever the topics are today. That's what I miss with you guys. I'm so happy to see you guys doing this again, and thanks for having me for sure.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, we're glad we can make it happen, and we'll definitely have to do it again. And
still don't have that UFO tattoo though.
Still not
that was, I think, that was like one of the very, very first episodes.
Yeah, it was.
And you still
it was. That was the first time they bit where they tried to get me. I remember that. But yeah, still no ink. I'm still ink free. So. Yeah. Anyway, man, thank you. Thanks for the time. Best to the family, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Mike.
Later.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. If you liked it, here are a few more you might like. And if you want to support the show, consider hitting the join button and becoming a channel member to unlock exclusive bonus content.